You're listening to the Custom Built Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to discuss happiness. So stay tuned. All right, when it comes to happiness, I think it's so easy to get consumed into what brings me happiness and not so much as the focus on that it's actually a choice. And I think we get caught up as a society and happiness means I have my house, I have a family. I don't know, it's just maybe just the painting that I was, introduced to and told I don't think I'm alone here. It's you go to school, you get a good job, you get married, you have kids, you have a family, you have a good life. That's happiness, right? And as I've gotten older and gone down this spiritual and self healing path that I'm on, it's come so apparent that happiness is a choice. And I was just on this conversation. I was just having a conversation with a couple of women that I met at this business conference that we went to in December called BBD Live. And it's through James Wedmore's training. And we were just talking about how we've come into that, we went into that conference with this intention, right? So we came in with this intention that we wanted to find people, mine specifically was go in with an open heart where if I can receive receive help or be supportive for other people. So whatever the need is, I want to come in and I just want to be open. I want to be open to conversations. I want to be open to meeting people and just receiving information. So I wanted to be equally supportive for other people and then also just gain a ton of support through this conference and building my business and creating these contacts. So I met these two wonderful women that, we meet up every couple of weeks on Zoom and have conversations. And so today's podcast is really inspired through that conversation because we were all in our own very personal experiences, but we were all saying something so similar. And it was our own well-being was being put on hold because we were so hyper-focused on other people around us and their feelings. And I talked about this in another episode. It was about boundaries and understanding that and putting your boundaries up for other people. And it all really just comes together in the same sense. We are not other people's keepers for their feelings, right? It is not my responsibility to make sure that you or that you're happy or that, it's not someone else's responsibility to make sure that I'm happy. All we can control is how our own feelings and reactions come. So somebody should be able to come talk to me and be their most authentic, true self. And if they say something that it hurts my feelings, it's up to me to understand those emotions. Did they hurt my feelings because they said something that, was hurtful and it was just mean spirited? And if so, then I can have a conversation, but did you mean that to come out like that? Did you mean to be hurtful in that comment? Or I can take the opportunity and reflect and say, wow, that really hit me in a really weird place. Is this something that I need to look into more? Why did that upset me so much? They were just, what they said wasn't necessarily mean, but it made me feel not good. And, that is 100% my responsibility to manage my own feelings and my emotions. And it is everyone's own duty to do that for themselves. And the people around you are not responsible for your feelings. And it just reminded me. So I don't know what you do for New Year's, if you have this New Year's resolution and you're I'm going to get fit or these are things, but I like to set intentions for my year. And this year I actually set a mantra. And that's been new for me because normally, like I said, it's intentions for me. So this year, like last year, I wanted to learn a new skill set. So I was focusing on that. And like it wasn't so much of a resolution, like there was a time frame for it. It was just like going into this year, I want to learn something. So for this year, I switched it up and I went to a mantra. And so my two mantras for this year have been to stop hiding, right? And go all in and just here I am. And that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing the imperfect. And then the other mantra was supporting you while honoring myself, or like honoring myself while supporting you. And what that meant was that I really needed to focus on putting myself and my well being first so I can support you, whoever you are, right? I want to be able to hold space for people where they are. But I can't do that if my own energy and my own health and my own well-being is not where it it needs to be, right? So like if I'm feeling drained or just not here, not present, I how do I support other people like that? I mean, and that's true for like my family. Like how can I show up and be the best version of me if I'm letting other people's energies and feelings and thoughts consume me? And so, I've had a realization, and actually, my husband and I just had this really great conversation the other night, how we didn't realize how much, like, we have these conversations a lot with our kids. Like, it is not your responsibility to make your friend happy. It's not their responsibility to make you happy. Like, so, like, we know this on like a very logical level. But when you're really deep into like a relationship, we've been together for 15 years, and you kind of lose sight of a lot of things. And I've again been working like on this like soul deep journey of healing and just really understanding myself. And I'm like, man, I'm so drained right now. And, people might say this is just like the tides are turning in this general like environment. Like, I think this is like like, this is not just for me, especially. I know this is like this big overarching energy, but it's okay because what it is, it's showing a light for me. And I'm consumed and I'm like, there is no space for anything else. Like I am so spent and I'm an empath. I say this in like 8 different ways and I always get really self-conscious about it. So I think it's empath. So as an empath, like I take on other people's energies and their emotions essentially. So like I never thought myself as an empath. Like if somebody was sad or crying next to me, like sometimes it would make me feel a little uncomfortable because those were emotions I wasn't really okay with at that time. So like I never thought myself as like an empathetic person. Not that I didn't care, I just like didn't, it felt uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. But what I didn't realize was an empath is somebody that literally takes on the emotions and energy of other people, and it sits with me. And so like there's times where like I have these feelings and I'm like, these really aren't mine. Like I don't feel sad. I don't feel anxious about things that are happening around me. This is somebody else's. And this is something I'm working on, like how to protect myself from like allowing myself to get consumed by this. So, but what I'm saying is like as an empath, like I don't realize how much I consumed all the time. And so I got really deep into our relationship and I'm realizing that for lack of better words, like I told my husband, I'm like, I am consumed by you and it's not by him. It's not his doing. He is not like asking and requesting these things. These are things that I do to like protect him because I am a protective person. Like I want to take care of the people I love and care about. And so like as I'm being consumed by him, I'm so hyper focused on like how he's going to react, how he's going to feel. I am like tiptoeing around the way that I would approach something because one, I want to make sure I'm being kind. I want to be, a kind person when I have to deliver something that maybe doesn't feel good. And so I can be brash sometimes and not very kind in my delivery, so I'm like extra hyper focused on that. And so in this whole time of like trying to make sure that I'm kind about it, I've allowed like this like gatekeeping of his emotions. So like who am I to like do that though? Like these are his emotions to feel and have, and like if I'm filtering myself to try to protect his feelings. Like, I'm not giving him the opportunity to have those feelings, and maybe doesn't have those feelings. Like, I'm just making assumptions, and we know what they say about assumptions, right? And so we're having this conversation, and he's discovering that he's doing something similar for me. And I'm like, it's exhausting, isn't it? Like, what? He's like, yeah. Like, what it does though, it doesn't allow us to honor ourselves. What it does, it makes us bury what we need and what we have to do for ourselves, and in order to take care of the other person. And that is not okay. Okay. We get right. Like, we always want to like take care of each other as a society. Like, I think in general, as a society, people want to be able to take care of other people. Like, we find it to be our duty. Like, it's loyal to do that. But what's loyal? It's not loyal to yourself. And when you're not taking care of yourself, what comes is like exhaustion and tiredness. I know they're saying the same thing, but like, when you don't have the motivation to do stuff anymore because you're so consumed by somebody else, it's unhealthy. And when you are no longer able to move forward in what you want to do, and you find yourself, you get resentful. And again, it's not like it's the other person's fault. I mean, sometimes it could be. Sometimes another person could be actually like, I need you. And, then you got to figure out those boundaries. Those are boundaries. But when it's sneaky like this, it's not only like opening up this box and being like, wow, I can see clearly, and like the dust is coming up and it's settling around you, and you see, like, I can stand up a little bit and now I understand what's happening. And there's like a freedom and an empowering part to just like understanding this whole other concept that, like, wow, this part of me has been so drained because I have been allowing it to be consumed by someone else's emotions. And so it brings me back to like why happiness is a choice, because it is. It's not anyone's responsibility to make you happy. It's not, things don't bring you happiness. You get to choose this every single day. So if you're having a crappy day and you go for a walk and you're just like, ugh, look at this and look at that, you're pointing out these things that are just not going right. That's your choice. You also have the choice to like sit and be quiet for a minute and be like, wow, listen to the birds singing today. Listen to that wind blow through the leaves. Like, these are things you get to think about and appreciate, and these are all choices that we get to make. And I don't know, for me, it doesn't feel good to just be like hyper focused on the negative, crappy stuff. And I can acknowledge that they're there and be like, man, somebody didn't pick up after their dog again in our neighborhood. Like, instead of just like letting this consume me over and over again, every time I go on this walk, I'm like, ugh, they still don't clean up their dog poop. Like, it's a constant thing. I see it all the time in my neighborhood, but like, I'm acknowledging it, but it doesn't ruin my day and it doesn't ruin my walk, because as I'm walking and cleaning up after my dog, I am listening to these birds singing and I'm looking at all the different birds that are flying through my neighborhood. And yeah, sure, maybe this is like this generational thing where I'm hitting that age where I'm bird watching. I'm okay with that, because it also reminds me of all the beauty that's here in the world. And on my everyday walk where I could just focus on like what's not cool, I could also be like, man, look at how beautiful life is right now. And look at what I have. And I cannot wait to see what comes next. And it's such a different outlook for your life. And it's a choice. It's always a choice to have that. And I'm not saying like bad things don't happen and to just ignore it and pretend like it's not happening. That's not this, okay? It's still acknowledging it, but it's also choosing to like how where you have your focus on every day. Are you focusing on the news? Are you focusing on all the upheaval that's happening, or are you focusing on you and your best health? And how can you focus on what's good for you right now? Because I promise you, if you focus on that good stuff, even all that bad stuff that's happening out there, there's ways that we can figure out and maybe come up with solutions. And as a collective, as we're all bringing up each other and we're all focusing on like positive things and beautiful things that come from, you know, things that aren't great, like the growth that comes when we hit that rock bottom. You're like, I had to go through all of this. So now that I can see clear and now I can see my path forward, like you get to choose to see it like that, or you get to choose it as turmoil, and you get to choose it as hate, and you get to choose if you're going to do something about it, right? Like I see it clearly now. I can make these steps and change and make steps to maybe help make an impact where I feel like it's important, right? In the communities that we want to be in, or I can focus on the turmoil and just be eaten and consumed by the negativity of it and just sit and stew. And like all you're gonna do is break down like a stew. Like I literally am thinking of this like as a stew that you're making. Like think about like your vegetables as it's like sitting in the broth for hours. They are literally breaking down. That is what happens when we stew in the negativity. Our bodies, our brains, our everything just kind of decompose slowly. And that to me sounds miserable. I don't want any part of that. Do I want to like stew a little bit? Sure. Like, could I use a little bit of softening around the edges? Yeah. But I am not going like, but also that doesn't mean this maybe not a good analogy, but like that doesn't mean like just choosing this part of happiness means you're going to stay hard and you're always pushing forward. Like, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you're not soft, and it doesn't mean that it's not oh, the stew and like what is that? But I think it was a good example for the other part. It was just maybe didn't help to build up this happiness. But you get to choose this, right? Like you get to choose what you laugh at. Like I could have just stopped this podcast right now and be like, what am I saying? This doesn't make sense. No one's gonna make fun of me about this. And so it might, but you know what? I'm laughing about it too. So what's it matter? So I get to choose that. I get to choose to keep showing up and sharing with you my experiences, and I get to let you see the messy that this is as I'm learning and growing, because this is a time where I keep forgetting that I'm starting from the very beginning. This is it, guys. Like, you are here with me, whether you want to be or not. I guess, again, that's your choice. So I'm assuming if you're here, you want to be here, you like what I have to say, and maybe some of it resonates with you, but like you get to see this, and I'm gonna keep sharing this, whether it's, a day where I look like I haven't slept well, because guess what? I haven't been resting well. My body has been telling me to slow down. It's been so hyper stressed and like in this heightened space that I'm just like, I'm having a hard time sometimes just like showing up and like really being grounded. But today I just felt so drawn to come here and just share this because it was so fresh in my mind. And this conversation I had with these ladies, I mean, it was exactly what I needed at the time. And so maybe it is coming to you at a time that you really need to hear it. And so my advice is don't stew in the negativity and become decomposed vegetables and a decomposed version of yourself. Like, if you need to decompose first to like rebuild, I'm like, go for it, man. Like, go for the whole journey and be there. But choose happiness. Why not? Don't let other people's emotions and feelings be what you determine is something you should or shouldn't do. Like, I could have stopped and thought, like, do I share this bit about me and my husband's experience? Yeah, like I'll probably have to have a conversation with him later and let him know that I shared this, and he can be comfortable with it or not, but this is my truth and I want to share those with you. I don't think it's too much of an overshare here, right? It's not that deep. I mean, it is deep because it's like a big realization. It's like when you're getting consumed by somebody else, whether it's your partner or a family member or a friend. Like, it's so important because now we both are able to like come to our relationship in a different light. And what does that mean? I don't know, but we're going to figure that out. And so I just, it's so helpful though, because now we see it. And how do you go back to that? Like, I can't, he can't. Like, so when you open up your eyes and you see these things, like you realize you're like, wow, like I have this choice now. I have a choice to be like, oh, let me shut this box up and put it away because this is not at all what I want to be focusing on. And I cannot deal with this right now, or I don't want to, that is a choice. All right. Or it's a choice to open it up, air it out, take it out, evaluate it, and then decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Sometimes, though, this is a part that I have an issue with. Like, the how doesn't matter. I don't need to know how. All I know is that this is here and it's out. So what happens next is how it's supposed to happen. And I don't need to force it or tell it what it's got to do. It's just got to be open. It's got to be an open, honest conversation with myself, with him, with himself. And in general, this is how it should be for all of us. I truly believe that if you want to choose that happiness, you really got to be able to make an active choice of being happy. And you have to make those active choices of recognizing when it's your own emotions, when it's your own energy that you have, or are you consuming somebody else's? And this isn't just like him, right? I feel like I'm really digging right now into my relationship, but it's not I have this in multiple relationships. I've talked about it again, on my past podcasts in boundaries, and when I was talking about quitting my job, I was tiptoeing around people's emotions because I was worried about their reactions. And what that means is I'm trying to minimize their feelings, and by minimize their feelings, not in a demeaning way, your feelings don't matter. I was trying to avoid making them feel a certain way, when that whole time, when I do that, I literally feel it in my body. My body does not feel well when I am so hyper focused on somebody else's feelings. So this isn't just something I do for my husband. This is something I do all around. And this is for all my relationships. And this is something that I personally need to work on very hard to preserve my own space and my energy. And so, like I said, this was a conversation that came up, and we're all very much in our own stories and our own personal experiences, but they were all saying something similar. And it's a consumption by other people, and it's not out of this space of somebody taking advantage of you. It is literally just understanding where we are spreading ourselves thin, where we are sharing our energy, and if we're recognizing that there's no more room for anything else, or if we are so exhausted and done and we have no space for anything else, it's a time to reevaluate and see what's happening and why are we feeling this way, right? So it's true for so many people out there, and I just felt really called to come out here and set this up in such an impromptu way. This is I had to bring everything together just so I could sit down and have this conversation, because it felt like the right time to do it. My brain was just here for it. So I hope this was something that you enjoyed and appreciated, and if not, that's okay too. But if you did, I would very much appreciate if you left a review and subscribed to this podcast, and also share it with your friends. And if you want more of me, I guess, right, more entertaining or house information, you can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook and on YouTube if you want to watch this podcast instead of listening. And all three of those, it's at Hello Katie Goat. And I'm really excited about where this is going, this journey, and I'm so grateful that you are here and experiencing it here with me. So thank you. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time. Thank you for hanging out today. If you liked what you heard, please make sure you hit subscribe, and I hope to see you again next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.